Hello, and welcome to another episode of the SENDhelp podcast. And this is a special episode today. And I've been working with Sarah a lot throughout the next year. We're going to be trying to change quite a lot, mainly in the school systems and stuff. Sarah's got quite a compelling story and a powerful story, really, that I'll let her share. But yeah, actually, without further ado, I'll pass over to Sarah and she'll give you a little bit of introduction of what she does, and what kind of led her to kind of being here with me, really.
Hi, Nate. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Gosh, where do I start? So I'll probably start with my son's diagnosis at age 7, which came at I wouldn't say it came at a shock, because he was always very, very boisterous and very energetic, and wouldn't kind of stand still or stand in a queue. And there was a few sort of warning signs, but I didn't really even know what ADHD was then, because we're talking like 8 years ago. I think I'd heard of it mentioned a few times, and someone mentioned, have you had him assessed for ADHD? And I thought no. So they gave me the relevant people to speak to, went and got him assessed. 2 years later, got the diagnosis, which is still a long time to wait when you're talking 8 years ago. And we're very shocked to see that all of his levels are severe ADHD. So they do this, like, which you'll know yourself, they do like a QB test, and they test the levels of impulsivity and attention. But it was also quite freeing and refreshing to learn that this is a medical diagnosis. This isn't something he can help, so it's not about us being stricter as parents. We've now got to adapt our parenting style and be more nurturing and be more patient, and think about the way that we give instructions and repeat. It's okay to repeat things a couple of times because he might not have processed it. And it's not that he's being naughty. So we completely adapted our parenting style. And some people call it a label, but first of all, I call it a superpower. It's not a negative thing. And it's about understanding how that person learns and how that person communicates. And once you unlock that and untap that, you get a really successful, talented child who can do a lot of things that neurotypical children or adults can't do, So, like football, he's brilliant at football because he's got so much energy. So we've adapted a lot at home. But what I found really shocking is that the school doesn't want to make any adaptations, doesn't want to make any reasonable adjustments. And all we've had since this diagnosis is resistance. We've had questioning. They want to see proof of the diagnosis. They want to see the QB test results, which even the medical professionals, the ADHD nurse, was saying, this breaches data protection. We're not supposed to share this with the school. It's medical information.
No.
Why are they asking you for this? And I've not only been asked for it once, I've been asked for it over and over again. And every year I find that I'm repeating the same things to the teachers. Have you given him a movement break? Have you repeated the instructions several times? Have you sat with him and broken it down so he understands it? And every year, none of these teachers seem to know of his diagnosis, how to teach him. So I've given them the benefit of the doubt year after year after year, thinking maybe something will change, because I've told them so many times about his diagnosis. But it got to year 9 and nothing was changing. And he was not only not understanding anything in the lesson, but he was also getting sanctioned. And in year 9, he had 49 detentions in one term. In one term, 49 detentions, isolations, exits. And half of the things, he was coming home saying, I don't know what I've done. For things like, I was talking in class, I was disruptive, all ADHD symptomatic behaviours. I didn't understand the work, so in science, and he accidentally broke something, piece of equipment, detention. He didn't understand how to work the equipment. I did the wrong homework. Okay, but you did your homework. Yeah, but it was the wrong question, so he gave me detention.
Wow.
It's absolutely shocking, the reasons for these detentions. So I rang the SENDhelp team, the parent support SENDhelp team, and they instantly said to me, you need to put an EHCP parental request in. He needs an EHCP because the support he's getting is completely inadequate. So I put the request in with the hope that he would therefore get a bit more support. He was assessed by an educational psychologist. They didn't refuse to assess. They assessed him, probably because they could see that he isn't just borderline, he's severe ADHD. They assessed him and the school still didn't support it, still said we can meet his needs within our resources. All the while, his grades are going down. He's got a reading age of 7. His non-verbal reasoning was 1%. His science, he was in the bottom 10%. So he's not meeting age-related expectations. And it went to mediation. And mediation, they said the same thing. We can support him. We make adjustments. If he gets a detention and he doesn't feel like it's fair, he can come to us and talk to us about it and we can sort it out. He can't because you're not available. He comes home and talks to me, and by that point it's too late. I email in and you say you have to investigate as to why he's been given a detention. So how is that you change? You're not changing or making any reasonable adjustments. And this is what they're saying in front of the LA. And then the LA say, we're going to give the school a bit more time to implement some of the strategies on the Ed Site report. Then we'll review it. That review didn't happen. So I then went to tribunal to get this EHCP. In the tribunal, the school came on as a witness, but not the SENCO, who knows about special educational needs. She wasn't there as a witness. Apparently she was off sick. They have 2 other SENCOs, none of them came. The head teacher comes as a witness, who doesn't know anything about my child's. He might know what he's read, but, a head teacher of a school of nearly 2,000 pupils is not going to know specific details about my child's special educational needs.
No, it's not even in their job role, is it really? They're business management in a sense, and staff
Business management, exactly, protecting their school budget, which I raised in tribunal, and it got spat out. Why would he be rejecting an EHCP when it comes with funding? That was the question that they gave in defence, knowing that the funding is not enough. So the school will have to meet the deficit or the shortfall. So that's why they're saying no to the EHCP.
Really, sometimes, doesn't it? An EHCP
it
doesn't
comes with a
always
bit
give
of a
them the
debt.
bonus.
Yeah, because if that EHCP says it needs a TA, which we were advocating for, a TA is not going to work for £11,000, which is the maximum amount of money that an EHCP comes for. So the schools fight against it. So that's why he was fighting against it. But I just find it atrocious that they can think that a head teacher is a valid witness on a special educational needs tribunal. It should be a special educational needs, a SENCO, or a teacher that knows his difficulties and that can talk about his difficulties. Plus, he didn't even get a review at the beginning of year 11. And needless to say, all of the mocks were 2s and 3s, which are not a grade 4. You need 4 4s to get into college. So the outcome was no to the EHCP, which I must have read the letter about 4 or 5 times because I'm absolutely so shocked that a child with that amount of evidence, an Ed Site report, an occupational therapy report, a QB test results, tutor that we've had to pay for that said he needs one-to-one support. So the tribunal had all of that evidence in front of them and they listened to a head teacher sitting there saying we can support him at our school over and above all the evidence which shows they can't support him. And they made a subjective decision rather than objective decision. I thought a tribunal was evidence-based.
Just as I'd say, it didn't sound. I hear this quite a lot in the sense of it's like a predetermined outcome.
Yes.
The fact they sent a head teacher shows very much confidence in that sense. Is that it's really hard, isn't it, to figure out why exactly you can't give them enough evidence of why the schools are doing this, but we know they're doing it. And saying no to an EHCP is something that is just blanketed up to say no without even looking at it. It seems like they just say no straight away, no matter what evidence. As you said, it's meant to be evidence-based. And I don't think people really understand that an EHCP is actually for a child that just needs additional help, doesn't actually need a diagnosis. So all it is, it needs a diagnosis, needs this. That doesn't matter. And even sometimes, as you're saying, with all that evidence and the diagnosis, they're still saying no.
Still saying no.
It seems predetermined to me instead of like it being an individual. They're looking at cases and then turning them all down. It seems like they're just told to say no.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of people have said that because, and so many people who've looked at the evidence, and professionals and legal people who've looked at the evidence have just said this must have been a predetermined answer because, and they've obviously not read this evidence. How have they read this evidence and come to that conclusion? And
Yeah, they wouldn't have.
And the judge said to me, needless to say, I am putting an appeal in. I am appealing it with additional evidence that's come through since. But the judge said to me, I didn't quite get the mock results that I would like to have got at GCSE. But that didn't mean to say that I needed extra support to get the results that I would have quite liked. This isn't a child that's not quite getting A's and B's. This is a child who is not meeting age-related expectations and getting 2s and 3s and even a 1 in another subject, which aren't passes and aren't going to get you into college. So what do you say is going to be the future for my child?
Yeah.
Now you've said no to this EHCP, you're now determining my child's future because they're not going to get accepted into any college. How could he compare him not quite getting the results he wanted to a child with educational needs who is getting no passes because he's getting
irrelevant
no
as well, isn't it?
It
Like
is.
him even saying that, it's irrelevant because you're you and I'm
Yeah.
me and it is him. Like, do you know what I mean? So everyone is different and everyone has different struggles. So congratulations, you went through that, become a judge. But that just really,
Yeah,
I bet you're autistic. I guarantee it.
probably.
Really high functioning. Do you know what I mean? To learn all their laws, know all them things. Like, do you know what I mean? This is the thing, but because it's like that, it is so. No, they can't exist because I function fine. It's like that's you.
It's not relevant either. We're here today to talk
Yeah,
about my child and whether it's necessary or not. The legal test is, in light of an EHC assessment, is it necessary to issue an EHCP for your child? I don't want to hear about your GCSE results. Thank you very much,
yeah.
Judge. I want
How
to
did it
discuss my
feel?
child.
Yes, how did it feel as well? Getting that because I would have thought going in there with that strong evidence, especially professionally backed evidence of all them reports, you would have thought, you had a very strong case. How did it feel
Yeah.
knowing I got overturned by someone like a head teacher from a school?
Shocking. Somewhat maybe some sort of bias has been applied to this, a discrimination, confusion. I'm just so confused. Like, I'm not a professionally trained CND teacher or Senko. I'm a parent that's had to adapt my parenting style to suit my child. And all I'm asking for is for school to do the same thing so he can achieve, not even so he can achieve his full potential, because they would have to do so much more for that, just so he can get up to the same level as his peers, just so he can get up to at least average, at least age-related expectation. I'm not asking for a miracle, I'm asking
No.
for just so he can get a
Uh,
couple of passes and get into a
a
college.
right to an education, isn't it? That you
Yeah,
think would be given
somewhat
in a first world
accessible.
country. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm just asking for a right to an education, for the child to be able to understand what he's hearing in class. It's not like I'm saying, please, can you get him at all A stars? I'm asking for him to just be able to hear and understand the work. At the moment, he doesn't, so we're having to pay for tuition, which is fine. I don't mind that, but
you shouldn't
something
have to do
doesn't
that.
feel right. Yeah, something doesn't feel right. Why can't the teacher do that? And now the decision that I've had is, he doesn't warrant an EHCP because the teachers can deliver quality first teaching. What does that look like? Because I've not seen any evidence of it so far. If it was
No,
quality first teaching, surely he'd understand the work in class and he'd be able to get a few passes maybe at mock.
you would have thought as well that why do they make it so hard for a child to be just accepted in that whole time? So even if everything's going on, why is it like it's the little things as well? You're not asking for them to change their whole teaching style. You're asking for them to pay a little bit more attention, maybe, or even do things slightly differently that might probably benefit everybody. And they make it
Yeah,
it's so isolating for that child, even in the middle of going
yeah.
back and forth between parents, school, and there's a child in the middle. As I said, you're in year 11 now, and you're still going
Still
through
asking.
stuff, even though you've got a
Yeah,
diagnosis years before that. Like,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And I suppose I am asking for a little bit more in terms of, I do think that the recommendation on the EdSite report is that he dropped a subject off the timetable. and in that timetable gap, he could do some exercise to help self-regulate and emotionally regulate. That wasn't done. And I understand that does take some extra resources, which I raised in the tribunal. That would need an EHCP. And I was met with, a teacher, we can do that, and we can chuck him in to a study plus room. It won't have a subject specialist teacher in it. They're allowed to pick and choose what they want to do in that study plus room. How can you let a child with ADHD put them in a room and pick and choose what they want to do with no teacher intervention? They're just going to sit there and mess about.
Yeah, and it also seems this whole, even like the SEN units, it seems like a very first century way of segregation, doesn't it? Like it's like hidden in plain sight. They keep saying it as a supportive tool, but actually what it's doing is just isolating all the kids that have got these conditions into a room with no purpose, as you're saying. So it's not for their benefit, it's just to keep them out of the way.
And how is that inclusive?
Yeah, yeah. It's you're including all of the SEN kids in that room, and that's it. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. Like, even if you was going to do it as a small classroom, then you get every kid in that classroom would benefit from a quieter environment. So why not mix it up? Put some of each extra so they learn and they understand the quieter time, so they can, they bond better. It's just everything they can do to go out their way to make it difficult.
Yeah, and like you say, segregation is the big word here. Like these SEN units,
just going in every school.
Oh, it really scares me. And also what level of teachers and intervention and teachers who have been special educational needs trained are going to be in those units. Who's going to be with these children in those units? Okay, even if they are going to put specialist teachers in, it's not the real world either, because when you go out to the real world and you get a job, and if you're neurodiverse, you will be asked, hopefully you will be asked, do you have any reasonable adjustments? I was asked that in an interview. Do you have any reasonable adjustments? And I gave them the reasonable adjustments, and they did them all instantly. So if the workplace can do it, but they didn't tell me, we're going to give you this job, but we're going to put you in a separate office on your own because you're neurodiverse with all the other people that are neurodiverse. I will sit next to somebody who's neurotypical, and I'll have my reasonable adjustment. So why can't school do it?
It's almost like it's because they're kids. And that's the only thing I can think of it as, is that as an adult, you've got so much more power in yourself to then go to court to take them for accountability, which again, even if that's the reason, as you said, it actually benefits people, our adults in the workplace, because it is a lot. And as a registered manager, I dealt with that a lot, with the agendas about anxiety and stuff. And it is a very, very protected characteristic. And then it's like they've gone through all these years of it not being spoken about or seeing it's a bad thing. And then they go to work and they get all of these things like, oh, you could do this if you want. It must be well confusing, like coming out of the school world into the adult world and realizing that the school have really messed you up. Like,
and not only that, you become predetermined, your default becomes to not ask for help.
Yes.
Because you've been trained so much to mask in school, and when you do ask for help, you don't get it. Now what's happening to my son is he doesn't ask for the help. So you're going to get to the workplace, and then what you're going to do, you're going to mask, because that's what you've done all your life. And they're going to say, what's your reasonable adjustments? You're not even going to know what your reasonable adjustments are, because they've never been given to you. How do you learn? Do you need a coloured sheet? Do you need the questions spoken to you rather than written down? But he doesn't know all these things will help him, because he's entitled to a reader. I mean, at home, I read out the questions to him out loud, and then he instantly gets it because he can hear the intonation in my voice. He's entitled to that in school, but he's not been given it. So he doesn't know the value of how much that would help him. So when he gets to the workplace and they say, what's your reasonable adjustments? I don't know. I've not got any. Have you got any neurodiversity? He'll probably say no, because he's embarrassed of it as well, because he's not been given the support to understand this isn't a bad thing. This is just the way I learn, and I need this, and this, and then I can get it.
Yeah. And that's a very good point, because I didn't as well in my job roles all the way up, even to the last job like I had before I started company. I never would put that on the form before I filled anything in, because I always thought they're going to, as much as they're being inclusive, you're either getting in because they have to tick a box and they have to have you in there, or they're going to see that and go, actually, probably not the best person. So I've always found it better to not say anything and then say it after. Then they're kind of trapped.
Say it after. Shouldn't
But
be
like, you
like
shouldn't
that
have to
though.
do that. I
No.
know, that's what I mean. But that's what you would learn. Exactly what you're saying from school like that. You would learn, okay, if I say it, it just becomes problematic. Let's just shut up and
Yeah.
not say anything. I can do this job. Like, that's it, isn't it? Like, look,
Yeah.
if I start saying, I've got this and that, they're going to say, no, you can't do this.
Instantly stigmatized.
Yeah,
Instantly written
absolutely.
off. And they're not going to say why, but yeah, that goes through your mind, doesn't it? And so you
They're,
just
they're,
say
they're
no.
they're nearly on the toilets. They're going to be toilets and drinking fountains. They're going to be segregated soon. I swear to God. Like, it's going to go fully back. It's crazy. I don't understand why it's like this. What is the end goal? The end goal
No.
is just going to be kids crashing and being their mental health
Yeah.
skyrocketing. So what's
Yeah.
happening that's not going to be a stable generation growing up. So what the hell are you trying to do?
What is it's actually getting worse, don't you think? Like,
Yeah, it is.
it's
Yeah,
not getting better, it's getting worse. Look at the statistics. 15% more children in 1 year have now registered for homeschooling. And they're sitting there saying, oh, why has this happened? Why has there
they're
been an
trying to.
increase
Yeah,
in kids' anxiety, not wanting to go to school? Why do you think? Look at the school. Who,
yeah,
who do you think's to blame here? It's the schools. Why do you not
yeah.
want to go to school?
I've said this before. I think I said it on another podcast. But kids at the age that we're talking about as well, it's not like it gets to 14, 15 and becomes a trend to go and say, I've got anxiety or I've got
No,
depression. It's These kids are like
it's
7 and 8. They shouldn't
embarrassing
even
to say it.
understand what they're saying. They shouldn't even understand what it means.
No,
And
what
to present
anxiety is.
like that, yeah. They're not speaking to each other on a group chat on WhatsApp going, oh yeah, let's all say that we've got this, we don't have to go to school. But these kids are young, and again,
Yeah.
with additional needs, so they're not likely to be doing that.
No, they can't really even express. I don't know about your kids, but mine, they can't express what it is that
Mhm.
doesn't. But I can tell it's school because they're such a different child in the holidays. They're so
Yeah.
much more calm, they're so much more relaxed. There's so many more smiles, they're dancing, there's so much more joy in the house. They're talking, they're communicating. It's like a different child. And literally within a week of being back to school, they're quiet, they're withdrawn, they're not wanting to go in the morning. They're, not smiling. And if I could homeschool, I would do it in an instant if I could, but I wouldn't be able to pay my bills because I wouldn't be able to work.
Well, it's not even that, and it's we shouldn't have to. It's like
No,
we're not teachers, and I know that sounds crazy
no,
because we're the ones that say that we know more about it. But the profession of a teacher is to do it in a big setting. So every parent, to a certain degree, can always teach. They can teach a kid to a certain degree, but a teacher teaches a class and teaches a class academic things. That's where the gap is. And I've also heard that as well, which I didn't realise, but the cross role of doing that could be detrimental to yourself and your child too. So if you're
yeah,
becoming the teacher and the tutor, and that's a struggle for them, when they finish that tutoring or something and they become dysregulated, are you still mum? Are you still dad? Or are you still teacher?
that's
It
a really
blurs the
good point.
lines.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really unfair to force that upon families or anybody because again, work. You then have to think about work, like most of us have had to do, and like if you don't, it's just incredible that they're just letting this happen. I honestly, it's
And that's
shocking.
the
I just
key
have no
word,
words.
forcing, because no parent is going to choose that as a luxury or choose that because it looks attractive. No parent is going to give up a salary and become a teacher and, like you say, and a parent, and then the lines are all blurred. No one's going to choose that
Yeah,
unless they absolutely have to. And I am a trained teacher. That was my original job, so I could homeschool. But then I would have to leave my job. So we'd be taking a
yeah,
massive income drop. And so what parent would do that unless they were absolutely forced to?
yeah.
And it
And what
has crossed my
parent?
mind so many times
And what
to do
parent
it.
also would want to spend more time with a child? I know it sounds crazy for you to say, but neurotypical or not, the last thing you want to do is be 24/7. I don't care. I don't know anyone with that relationship that they're like, yes, it's great. I never want anyone to take them. I never want a break. I want my child with me all the time. No one says that. So why would you think that you'd want to then spend school is everyone's break, everyone, as a parent, isn't
In a
it?
way,
When they
yeah. But for
first go
me,
to
it's not even
school,
that. At the moment, it's
when they
not a break because I'm just on
when they first
tenterhooks.
Well, yeah, when they first went to school, like I remember, like, because I've got 3 kids, so you're like, I can't wait to go to school, can't wait to go to nursery to get that break, and then that
Yeah,
becomes problematic, and you have to take them back out again. It's not a luxury. It's
No.
a forced move that we have to do. And at the end of the day, sometimes we're becoming more, we want to do it, but that's because of our child's mental health.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not because look, we might have been forced by the school, and it might be our decision to take them out sometimes, but that's because they're at breaking point. They can't cope, and it's either that or God knows what's going to happen.
And what about the funding? Apparently, if you choose to homeschool, your parents don't get any funding.
No, it's a very tricky line, and I've got people on my app as well just for this case as well. Because it's very tricky to know how to do it properly. So there's
Right.
like EO2 packages and stuff you get, which the school provide, and then you could. But then what will you'll be forced to do by the school probably be deregister, and once you deregister, no one is responsible for that child but you. So you basically said I don't need the kid to have education. So
Wow.
it's about, again, even then you're having to learn a system, you're having to learn laws, you're having to learn
Yeah.
procedures as a parent just to know how to safely take your child out without it getting forgotten. Because otherwise, they're out of
Oh,
school for 2 years and you could be waiting for the HCP and then they don't care because you're in school. So you're waiting 2 years for a school to be named that doesn't get named.
I spoke to a parent the other day that was in that exact position. They had to deregister. It took 2 years to get the EHCP, and then, as if by magic, the school took them back on. But they've had 2 years in limbo with nothing.
And they're like, just go back full time, it's fine. And you're like, what?
No.
If I was signed off work for 2 years, yeah, like, and you knew everyone at work,
Yeah.
and you get signed off for 2 years and have to go back, that is never not going to be awkward. Like, even as an
Not
adult, you're
straight back
thinking,
in.
yeah, that's a long time. I haven't spoken to her, but everyone's going to be asking me questions, where have I been, what am I doing? Like, even just that immediate pressure is not, you're not going to function back into that world like properly, are you? You're going to mislearn your
No.
job. You're going to have things have changed. Like, it's going to be hell. And the expectation is then they go, oh, but they can't get to school now. And they're like, well, it's your fault. You should be able to get them in properly. You're like, you haven't
Yeah.
let them in school for 2 years.
What are the solutions to parents? Because at the moment, it just seems like none. I mean, even in
Yeah.
EHCP, I'm hearing you then have to go to appeal to appeal the contents of it because it's not suitable.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
you're
So
getting
you've got,
schools not even delivering what's on the EHCP, and it's a legal document. How can they legally not deliver what's on a legal document? That's
I know.
breaking the law.
I know. This is why it sounds so corrupt, isn't it? Because the people that are
Yeah.
writing the laws are the ones that are also not taking part of the laws. So you can't actually hold them accountable for the people that are
No.
putting it in place. It's crazy. Like, again, this is like, I see a lot of parents as well, and it's sad. It's good. It's good because everyone should be aware about it, but we shouldn't have to. But I see them doing a
No.
lot of SEN and law courses at the moment. And
Yeah.
the thing that I would advise from that is you could know the SEN laws, you could know the advice, you could be trained in it. They don't care.
They're not
Other laws and
implementing it.
other policy will go above it, so your
Yeah.
evil's going to be at the bottom. So you can understand, and they are breaking it constantly, as you're
They are
saying.
breaking it.
Every single day they're breaking it. I'm hearing families every day. They're breaking some kind of thing. They're lying. They're holding something up. They just don't care.
Yeah.
Who's going to hold them accountable?
I don't know. I don't know. Is it the Department of Education? Is it the LA? The LA don't seem to be. I don't
Oh,
know
that goes to
what other
area to area as well.
institution are not held accountable for breaking the law. I don't.
No.
You
And
know.
again, it's very again, going back to where I was working in as a registered manager. You're very not vulnerable, but you're very exposed to complaints. You're very, but it's personal, tied to you. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't get someone complaining like a staff member going, "Oh, the manager done this, blah 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 blah," and then they go, "Okay, put a complaint in, and we'll see the business and see how that goes through."
Yeah.
No, that gets put straight in your head. Like they go, "Someone put a complaint about you. You need to deal with this. You need to go to
Yeah.
HR. You need to
Yeah.
have to be like."
Yeah.
Schools don't, teachers and stuff
School
don't even
don't.
get onto that level. No,
They
it
deal
doesn't. It
with it
just,
internally. We've had 2
yeah,
complaints that we've gone to the governors panel. Governors who are supposed to be impartial. It was all done. It was all dealt with internally. One of them was a safeguarding issue. And it came back not upheld because it was dealt with I
force.
thought, yeah, it was just dealt with internally.
It's what company's going to go, or what business, or even as a school is go. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, we're safeguards. We're not compliant. We're really breaking the law here, and we've done something really wrong. Again, they're only going to do that by sacrificing a teacher, and so that's when the teachers do
Yeah.
get fired, when there's enough evidence against that one person. So they just go, oh, it was all them, and then there's the opposite effect when they don't change anything and blame it all on one person. But again, that's very rare. I think I don't even see that
It
very much
is. I've
anymore.
not heard of that much. I've
No,
not,
it's
unless it's
very
something
harsh.
really severe, like a teacher's been drinking on the job or something like. But for example, the
Physical
other day
violence as well.
or violence. But I've even been reading that teachers have been grabbing children and pushing them against the wall if they're being disruptive. My daughter reported that happened the other day in school. physically grabbing a child. I thought that was against the law.
Well, I've kind of thought times moved on, but it's a very good question because I don't actually know.
Yeah,
And I had my kids reporting stuff like this. What if, when I was in school, yes, you got shouted, like, but
yeah.
if they're still acting like this and they're doing more detentions, are they now shouting and screaming a lot more, which it seems like they should be, but we would never know that. And that's scary as
No,
parents that we don't know the culture in the
it
school, whether
is.
to know shouting is appropriate or shouting is because the kids are so normal to it, they wouldn't think of saying anything to it.
They
That's
wouldn't
just what
think of
happens in school.
saying
The teacher
no.
tells you off, the teacher screams. Like that's just part of it. And like it
Is
makes you
that
wonder
right?
now in 2026, an adult is screaming at my child. Like, what? Like, are you joking?
Yeah, yeah.
And it could be just for losing a pen. Like,
This,
oh my
yeah,
God, like
this is a regular occurrence. This is happening on a regular basis. This shouting and screaming.
Howard Stripped and little God.
It's madness. I don't know what the solution. One solution I did actually hear, because I am getting a committee together because I've got 52 parents that have all been experiencing disability discrimination
Mhm.
from this school, the same school where my children go. So it's not just me. So 52 of
Wow,
us.
that's
Yeah.
powerful.
And I've now got 20 that have signed up to my committee. So we're having a meeting in 2 weeks where we're going to share stories. If 20 of us, 20 should be a big enough
Wow.
number. If
That's
20
more
of
than
us
plenty.
all submit a disability discrimination claim, which you can submit to the
Mhm.
tribunal,
Uh-huh.
I didn't know this. And for any parents that are listening, I didn't know that the tribunal took other kinds of claims. I thought it was just to do with EHCPs, but they do take a disability discrimination
Yeah,
claim. I think it's a SEND form.
yeah,
So if you've
yeah.
got 20 parents that all put those in with significant evidence, and we've got significant evidence we can put ours in with about the same school, surely the
Yes.
tribunal's got to do something about it.
They have to, and I think that's a very powerful thing to make people aware of about doing it in numbers, and it's a very
Yeah,
powerful tactic of doing it in numbers because what happens is if you don't, you might have 5 people going through it, but the time between it, there's something like Ofsted inspection, the CQC will be similar. So like if you have say racism in a school, you're never going to be away from it. So there's an expectation that you're going to report at least one or two a year,
yeah,
for instance. So like if you're not
unfortunately, yeah.
reporting that, it looks suspicious.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? So if you got a parent and you're doing the complaint, you might just be that number that's expected to, oh, there might be a discrimination complaint this year. But if you're doing 10 of them in not even in the same year, but 10 of them in quick succession, that's something's going wrong. Okay,
that should be
that could,
something to
yeah,
flag the system. It should be, and
yeah.
I
Instead of
think,
that just being in the safe realm of numbers that are allowed before it's a concern, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
they shouldn't even be ignoring the one. But as we've discussed earlier, it's got so broken, so
Yeah.
many things are falling through the net. But I would encourage parents to do that, to club together. If you've got children with SEN from the same school that have been discriminated against, because it is discrimination. All of this is discrimination. Not providing reasonable adjustments, constantly sanctioned for behaviours that are symptomatic of their
Yeah.
neurodiversity. I'm trying to think of some others where they've prioritised a blanket policy
Yeah. Over a
over
centuries.
what an individual SEN child needs. Because you can't. So any parent that's in that's experienced that needs to come together, arrange like a meeting with other. We've arranged a WhatsApp group. Well, I've arranged a WhatsApp group, and as I say, I've got 20 that are already on it. And I'm arranging a meeting for the end of January. So we're all going to come together, share those stories, and I'm actually going to make that send form interactive so we can all fill out the form at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I know that form filling is hard for a lot of parents. And it's hard for me because I'm neurodiverse myself. But if we can do it together and we can
Yeah.
all put that, like you say, they're going to get 22 discrimination claims in 1 month
Yeah.
from
That's
the
it,
same
and that
school.
causes problems. Even if you're processing that and you're claiming all of them, that's a lot of work and that's a lot of
Yeah.
annoyance. The person who's receiving 22 claims at the same time, they will be, regardless, they'll be pissed in the school. Like
Oh, yeah.
just for that coming through at the same time, they're gonna be like, oh my God.
They've
Like,
got to do something,
yeah,
and
you would
if
think
they
so.
don't, then I don't know what our next course of action is, because that is just absolutely back to front, upside down if they don't do anything about that. And not to
Well, I think
mention the parents that aren't speaking up. What about the parents that are too
are
scared to
scared
speak
too,
up?
which
There's
is very
probably so
common.
many more.
and this is why I'm going at it with the teachers at the moment, because I've been saying stuff like this for ages, and for some reason, they haven't jumped on my comment section. As soon as I started doing podcasts mentioning this, and I had vulnerable women that are saying their experiences of what happened in school, all of a sudden, teachers all over the comments, and it pissed me off. I was like, nah, if anyone's, I'll take the flak for that, because I don't
Yeah.
like to, I'm putting people on podcasts, and then they're saying what's happened to them in school for probably the first time, and then they're going, yeah, but you don't understand. Or,
And then
no,
they're
you don't do this.
bashing
You're
you.
demanding
Oh,
this.
so you'd rather them
Yeah.
stay
Or you're
silent?
entitled. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God. And I know it's not, the numbers ain't there, so it'll be 95% all positive things. But we're programmed as humans. That one negative comment, that two negative comment makes you question.
Yeah.
And these parents have already questioned everything they've gone through. They've got to the place they thought, no, I was right. They've gone onto a podcast and then they just get questioned again because they get people like that. And it's not okay. It is
No,
awful.
my advice from somebody who does content regularly would be to those parents, you have done the right thing in speaking out. Do not read any of those keyboard warriors who are trying to defend themselves. Only now they've been exposed are they trying to defend themselves. You have done the right thing in speaking out, and I wished I'd spoken out sooner. I really do. Like, only for the protection of my son, who desperately doesn't want me to use my profile. He doesn't want me to go to the press, so I've held back. But it's got so bad now that I'm reconsidering that, and I'm going to talk to him again about it, because I need to speak out. I need people to know. I need people to know that they need to speak out as well.
And it can happen to everybody, isn't it? The more people that speak out, and the more people, I suppose, like us that have podcasts and kind of work together and collaborate and work in similar minds, it becomes the number game, doesn't it? And the more
Yeah.
numbers that say the same voice become one voice, is
Yeah.
the better. And that's kind of ultimately what we want to do, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
with like, so how are you at the moment? Because you've got loads of comedy, haven't you? Like, and you can do comedy skits on your TikTok. You've
Yeah.
got
So we do.
massive
Yes.
TikTok. Yeah.
So me and my husband do. It happened really organically, actually. So my husband's from South Africa, and he always orders food from South Africa. They like boerewors and what's the other one called, biltong. And it was getting to the point where all these parcels were coming to the door, and I was like, oh, not again. And we ended up doing a funny video. We didn't intend for it to be funny. We just did a video about me opening his parcel and saying, oh, you've spent money again on this food and paying for shipping and everything for the food to come from South Africa. And then we ended up titling it as Living with an African Man, because obviously, there is a bit of a clash of cultures, and we do have clashes sometimes. He likes his food spicy. I like my food plain. It's usually about food, but even about parenting as well, we can differ in the way that we. And we thought, why not make a bit of a channel out of it? It was never intended to be funny, but it just became. People found it funny, and I think it's a nice way of not arguing. Let's create some content about it rather than, not that we argue about it and want to get a divorce as a result of it, but sometimes we can be like, we can have arguments about it.
Yeah.
And in the end, we've decided to celebrate our differences of culture. And actually, it's quite nice for me to adopt some of his cultures and for him to adopt some of mine and meet in the middle. But it has ended up becoming a bit of a comedy. And it would be great to incorporate some of the challenges that we face in schools into some of our content, because I think comedy is actually quite powerful.
It is,
because it's a real life issue. Not that we're laughing about it. It becomes engaging, but underneath that content, people think, actually, this is a really bad issue.
It's a lot more. It's easier to engage in something that makes you laugh because you're happy endorphins, isn't it, than something that's going to make you feel miserable. And people can hide away from the thing, but when it's something that public can laugh at and everyone can laugh, no matter, even if you're related to it or not, you kind of see the humor in it. But it does underneath it highlights such a massive issue. And I think that it does. You're right. It gets such a varied audience in that respect, because you're talking to a lot of people. You can make loads of people laugh with like jokes, can't you? Like, and it's a nice thing to do, and it brings people together, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it does. And then at the same time, if it's raising awareness about an issue, I mean, most of the time our issue is, marriage difficulties and marriage arguments, or like relationships or whatever, and some of these things can turn nasty, but if you can laugh about it and then get through it. I mean, obviously the schools thing is different, but yeah, if anyone's got any ideas and they want to share how I could incorporate, I know that we were thinking about it, weren't we? sharing and raising
Yes.
awareness about this issue. At the moment, I
Yeah.
can't laugh about it because it's really badly affecting our family life. So I don't know how I would laugh about it at the moment, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, it's one of them ones as well. And I think I've hit this in the last couple of months as well with Calvin and with my oldest, because he's when it obviously been out of school and stuff like that, it changes your life, doesn't it? Like, and that stress. And it again, I started my whole channel, same as you. It was comedy. It was a comedy thing that got
Oh
me
yeah,
viral. That then I kept doing the comedy spin off day-to-day life of ADHD, and now I'm fighting teachers. But that
yeah,
dynamic, that shift happened because the emotional thing that happened with me as well.
yeah,
So when that happened with me and it was happening really, really personal, I couldn't get away with it. And as I said, even the humor to me now, to go back to that, it's very hard. I've had
yeah,
these skits and the ideas in my head for ages, but I don't want to do it because again, it feels like we're laughing about a situation that so many people are actually really in really bits about it. But again, it has a powerful message. But then when you're
yeah.
living it, it's different, isn't it?
It is different. It is different, but I do have that platform, and we do have a lot of followers, so it would probably be silly not to use it.
Yeah,
Um,
but you've got a massive audience, haven't you?
yeah, if I can expose this issue, I mean, it's already being exposed. Nothing's being done about it, but I guess the more people that shout about it, you never know.
Yeah,
We could get heard.
yeah. It's a bit like I don't know if you follow social media people about really, but like you've seen Drewski, that comedian.
No.
So he does like jokes, but like more like skits. So like you take a thing and do like jokes about it. And he's just done one on like the Catholic Church in America about like always taking money off the people in that. And it's like it was perfect because it got out to so many people, but it does highlight the issue inside, but in a
Yeah.
very safe way that no one would have listened about the church before that. But because it's so out there, it's so funny. And he's made it in a way that everything he's done is not so exaggerated, but not so exaggerated. It's perfect. So it's like
Right. I'll
exposed in a
watch
really good
that.
way. Yeah. So like I think that's something that we can maybe do or something like that. I reckon that'd be good to make like a whole universe of like Focus Academy that goes
Yeah.
into that just goes into like all these realms you could like jump in. You've got so many you could. And I think that would
Even
really
for
be
our
positive.
even for our own sanity, it might just
Mhm.
be a way of, because otherwise you're literally spending your whole day fighting teachers and policies. To
Yeah.
what end? We're not getting anywhere.
No,
Nobody's
no,
listening.
no. They're not. I think they're listening and they don't care. That makes it worse. I'd rather that they just weren't really hearing us properly. Like, we
Yeah,
just can't really not listening at all. But it is, you're hearing it full well because you
they
can't
are
not hear.
hearing.
You just really don't care. Like,
No. I
it's
mean,
been
I
great.
was told yesterday, by the PE teacher that she said, I said, do you know, have you seen his educational psychologist report? She said, no. Have the school got it? I said, the school got it in October 2024. We're now in
Wow.
January 2026, and you're asking me, have the school got it? Now, that's not her fault. She's just teaching PE. But why have the SENCO not filtered that down to her,
Yeah,
shown her
simply.
what? She knows nothing of it, and so she said,
That's
but
worrying, isn't it?
she said, I know I've got to use quality first teaching, that word again. I said, what does quality first teaching look like for you? And she said, I'll explain what I want them to do. This is PE theory, by the way, which I can't even understand is a thing, but that's a
Theory.
different topic. PE should just be practical, but that's the curriculum. That's a
Oh, you're
different topic.
penalising SEN kids even more by making them do the writing in PE. That one subject they had under their
The
belt.
one subject that he loves, 60% of it's going to be graded theory and 40% practical. So even if he got 80% in his practical, and at the moment it's a 4 out of 80 on theory, that's the mark. That's what he got because he didn't understand any of the questions. I said, why does he not understand any of the questions? She said, is it because he's not putting any effort in? No,
Outrageous.
because he has ADHD. I feel like banging the heads against the
Yeah.
wall.
There's been
What
diagnosed.
what does quality first teaching look like for you? Oh, sometimes if I think that he's not understood the question, I'll say it again. And that's it. And that's it. You think at home, if he hasn't understood an instruction, I just say it again. And that works. That doesn't work, I'm afraid. Most of the time, I'm having to follow him around and actually help him with it because the auditory processing isn't going in.
And I'd be a bit worried that if that's a quality first teaching, so that's an exception that you've made. What happens with any regular kid doesn't understand the question? Do they get sent out? Like, I think you
Yeah.
didn't hear out. Like, you've got ADHD, you're allowed to hear it once more. Like, that's pretty much it, isn't it? Like, that's it's easy to think.
I'll say it again. And I said, all right, how many other kids have you got with special educational needs? Quite a few. I said, have you got a TA? No. I said, okay, so could you tell me now, with the support and the resources you have available to you, do you think you can support my child with their needs? And she said, honestly, no. I wish I could have recorded the call. And
Yeah.
I said, would you say that he needs a TA? And she said, in light of what you've told me from his EdSite report and the cognitive behavioural test that they did, yes, it would be better. And then she even said, what would it take to get him a TA? This is this very same school that is saying he doesn't need a TA. We can meet his needs through quality first teaching. First-hand conversation from a PE teacher completely contradicting that.
I'm starting. Do you know what I just thought? That head teacher going in there might have been an actual strategic move. They might have wanted to send codes, and this might be the divide that we're seeing with the teachers getting kind of caught up on the other side of it. Because who is it that's making these decisions? Because it can't be the teachers on that level.
No,
That's got to be like head teacher
not.
upwards.
Yeah.
So like that has to be so that's probably why he comes to intervene to make sure that went the way that it went to go.
He's
so that
come
didn't
to
someone
intervene, exactly.
Yeah, to make sure
Why
that, and
couldn't they
that's probably
get?
what we're seeing.
Yes. Why couldn't they get a subject teacher to come on that tribunal who's actually working with the
Open and
child
honestly,
firsthand and saying, actually, a TA would be really beneficial, like what she said to me on the phone. Instead, you're sending a head teacher who doesn't want to pay for a TA with £11,000 funding, which is a maximum. And a lot of parents might not know this, but that's the maximum amount of money that comes with an EHCP. £11,000. So I can see why schools are struggling, because you can't afford a TA with that. But at the same time, you could say you could employ a TA with that £11,000 part-time just to help with the subjects that child's struggling with. You know, if
and
two children,
if you really needed to, you could knock a couple of them out with one TA. So if that TA was just there for the kids that have SEN needs and was there half a day, that's something. We'll take it. Like, you know what I mean? It's better than what you're doing now, which is saying, no, I can't meet these.
What
and
we're
not
doing
get the
now
kids
is
anywhere.
lying, effectively lying, saying the child doesn't need one because deep down they know they can't afford to pay the shortfall.
And this is what I'm hearing a lot, actually, because teachers would normally say, and it is teachers that go to breaking point that go, no, we can't meet needs, that have to go in. But that just shows the narrative must be coming from very high up. But then who is these people above the head teacher? It's like a secret cult. I'm going to find out. I'm going to take them out down this year, like the Illuminati of school.
Who's accountable? Well, this school in particular, there used to be an academy. I don't know who. I think academies have their own accountability, but they very cleverly took themselves off, so they're not an academy anymore. So they're not accountable to the LA because they're not a council school, and they're not accountable to an academy. So I think the only people they're accountable to is the Department of Education. But how do you get through to anybody in the Department of Education? No one replies to your email.
No, and I can imagine that even email address would be like one of the busiest email addresses in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
And again, well, they can't by that day. I think again they can't do much by that point. It's a policy change or something like that. It's not much that they're going to change. And if it is in the DFE, so if the instructions coming from them, then we're finished.
Yeah.
Like if it's them that's saying that we need to cut a bound, we can't afford this, then we are finished. Like we need someone on our side. Like
well, if anyone's listening to this podcast and you're on our side, or you know who the school should be accountable to, please let us know who to email.
How to get them. Yeah.
But MPs as well. There are some good MPs out there as well, I believe, that are helping.
Yeah, Tommy Robson was doing quite a bit of this.
Right.
No, but no, I was only joking. No, it is. I think MPs are really underutilized, especially if you've got. I'm not being, but if you've got like a new party coming out, that's good. Especially a more left-wing party, that's going to be on the agenda, and they're going to be very proactive about trying to seek out. And I've seen a lot down even in my local area where new ones have got in. That's the very forefront of the subject, and I think generations down to come and years to come, that's going to be it has to be a forefront of a
Yeah.
political party, what you're going to do with SEN. So it's been very interesting for people to look at their policies and what the different parties are actually trying to bring in, because I think that will tell you a lot about where to go to support and help. And if you've
Yeah.
got a couple local ones that are from different parties, you might be able to choose ones from that. But you should go to the MPs as well, because it is, at the end of the day, that's what their job is.
Yeah.
We've got the complaints. We go to the MPs sort it out. That's literally how it's meant to be.
Hopefully, you would think so. I mean, we got as much as a letter of support that we actually brought with us to the tribunal, written by our MP, to say she has looked at the evidence, the medical evidence and the diagnosis and all of the other tests and reports, and believes, after looking at the evidence, that this child needs an EHCP. Even with that letter, we still didn't get the EHCP.
Oh,
It's
you've been in
shocking,
this
isn't it?
like a, yeah.
It's
So they're not
absolutely.
even into the MPs. This is what I'm saying. How high up does this go? Where do they end? That's just really, I'm getting more concerned. I'm scared now. I feel like I've got an assassination target on my back.
I wasn't
I'm going to go
supposed
missing
to
in the
scare
next
you.
year.
That's all. I didn't want to come on the podcast to
Yeah.
scare you, but
No.
at the same time, I've got to
Oh,
be
it's
honest.
true though. It's true. It's true. Everything we said is true. As I said, unfortunately, it is. It is the actual facts, and we're actually underselling it, really, of the issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many more stories I wanted to share, but obviously
Yeah.
we've been on a while now, so I don't even know if we've covered all the questions.
I think most of them, maybe missed one out. I think.
Did we?
Yeah, but I think yeah, we've got most of them. But I think we could do. I said we could do unlimited these, as many as we need to do.
Yeah, we can do as
And
many as,
again,
maybe we
we
just
could do
pick a
skits
topic next time.
and just. I think that was. I think that was good. Yeah, I think it's lovely to have you on. It's
Thank you.
amazing to have you on, and I think
But
we're gonna.
my main message will be to people, though, seriously, don't be afraid to speak up.
No, and
Don't.
you know what as well. Another to further that, if you are a bit nervous to speak up, let me know and I might be able to help you. Like, so I mean, I'm
Definitely.
nervous because I know what could the common can happen with, especially with paperwork when you've got actual evidence. It's a school hit you with cease and desist and stuff. And if that's the case, and that's why you're not speaking up, don't let that scare you because I'll do it for you.
No, I was going to say, get on SENDhelp, because I've only been on a couple of the posts, and already I found links and that are helpful.
Yeah.
Like templates, links, emails, people that I can, speak to and get the actual factual support and help that you need. So definitely, like you say, if you don't want to speak up firsthand on your own social media profile, or if you don't want to send that email, get on to SENDhelp, because I'm sure they'll be able to get the template and the advice that they need.
100%. It's slowly turning into a company that's like it's a very takedown company at the moment. It's started as a harmonious, harmony. We're going to bring everyone together. It was going to be great. And it's not, that was just like a deluded dream. It's not. We've got to help parents, and we've just got to help parents. Like, that's it. End of.
Just got to help parents get through the day, and maybe send an email to the Senko because they don't know where to start.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, it's amazing having you on. And I said I look forward to any future things we do. I know we'll be doing loads, and any future podcasts and anything we do going forward.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks for having me.
It's all right.
Take care.